Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is more EU4 playthrough of Third Rome. This video is going to be a little unusual in that, as you can probably already tell, the audio absolutely does not match what's going on the screen. As I was beginning to do this playthrough, something happened. I updated OBS and I updated Windows, and when I recorded this video, none of the sound and recording came through. So I ended up with like an hour of gameplay footage, and some big stuff happens in this episode, but there was no audio to go with it. So I was rather frustrated, and wasn't sure what I was going to do, but some students mentioned that a good option potentially would be to just record a voiceover. And so I'm giving that a shot. This is not what I intend to do for the channel in general, but we'll see how it works. So the goal of this video, of this playthrough here, is to continue on with the Third Rome, Russia taking over all of Europe, making this like holy Russian empire place. And so as I was coming into this playthrough, as you can see, I'm talking about Calais and Kent there, and how controlling that area is really important. We've also severely harmed Denmark. We've basically taken England out of the game. We've really hurt Poland and Lithuania. And now the target is the Ottoman Empire. When I first started this playthrough, the Ottomans were immensely powerful, but what I'm checking here, as you can see, is that the Ottomans have a lower military tech now and less soldiers. We have become more powerful than the Ottoman Empire. Now, at this stage, we can fight the Ottomans, but we want to be careful. The Ottomans are still very powerful, and the Ottomans, if we don't pay attention to them, will continue to get more powerful. They haven't been able to expand up into Europe very well, because I have an alliance with Hungary. I have alliances with Serbia and Wallachia. So the Ottomans don't want to go very far into Europe. That's actually what I was talking about right now. But they have expanded through almost all of the Middle East and a lot of Africa. So they're still quite powerful. So going into this episode, I really want to make sure that I don't underestimate the Ottomans, but also hurt them badly. My goal here, my primary goal, is to take Constantinople. Constantinople is one of the most important trade nodes on Earth, and it is, it's the capital of the Ottoman Empire, and from the Orthodox Christian perspective, it's the capital of Christianity, right? So my goal here is to take Constantinople. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get all of my soldiers together. That's what a lot of this early gameplay footage is going to be, getting them all down on the Ottoman border. I'm going to get everybody drilling, and I'm going to build up more military forces. I want to make sure that I go into the Ottoman Empire with everything I possibly can. And we're going to bring a really, really serious fight to them here in this episode. So, sorry, I got distracted there for just a second. So that's what it's going to be here. So while I'm doing that, one thing that I talked about in this video when I was recording it, now I'm talking about Constantinople there. I'm sure this is going to be hopefully this won't be very annoying, because right, the point of this channel is to produce content that you can play in the background and sort of just listen to somebody ramble over gameplay footage. So hopefully this works out. But the goal that I have with this channel is exactly that. I want this channel to be something where you can play it in the background. I've been told many times in my life that I have a very calming presence, a very calming demeanor. I have my voice and the ticking of my heart that I don't know if it's audible in these videos or not. So I think sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And I want that to be the primary focus of the channel. But I have found that it is fun just to play not so tranquil stuff sometimes, right? This isn't all that I play. And I've got, as I'm recording this right now, I've got one video up that's a kind of a first look at the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster that some friends bought me as a gift. Oblivion is by far my favorite of the Elder Scrolls games, and it's so cool to be back there. I actually recorded, well, I thought I recorded a gameplay footage of a game called Atomic Hearts, which seems really cool. I played about an hour of it, realized I had never clicked record on OBS, so I had exited the game and I went back to try to play it again, and I kept getting repeatedly this engine crash error. Nothing I did fixed it. Everything I read online said that it seems like it's a known problem that the developer doesn't care about. So I just got a refund through Steam, which is a shame because it seemed like a really cool game. And I think it was very fun when I thought I was recording it. And it was fun to record Oblivion. Of course, the difference is that those games are not tranquil background games. I get to be more of a personality in those games, but they're not the kind of games that this channel really was built around, right? So the other thing along with that is that the number one thing that people say with YouTube is consistency. And I have not had a particularly consistent upload schedule. So I think what I want to try to do, and what my plan going forward will be, is to upload 2 videos a week that will be this sort of background noise video, and 1 video a week that will be something a little more lively and fun, right? I'm thinking either a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. Basically, Monday, the first 2, Monday and either Tuesday or Wednesday, would be something more tranquil. I'm thinking what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to keep doing the 3rd Rome playthrough, and I'm also going to start a Stellaris playthrough. I've got about 15 hours in Stellaris. I know essentially how to turn it on. It's a very different game. It's a paradox game, so you can tell that it's there, but it's very different in many ways. It actually has some significant similarities to the Civilization games. But I'm going to do... That's another game where, I can just ramble for hours over some gameplay footage, and it's just some nice background noise. So I'll probably do those 2, like, the first 2 uploads of the week, and then I'll do whatever, Oblivion or something else as the 3rd video that is more, noisy, but that's my plan for now. So at any rate, I'm going to, I'll hopefully get the OBS stuff sorted out soon, and I won't be doing these voiceovers anymore. Hopefully this works out and doesn't sound really weird. But we'll see. So that's my plan going forward. So right now, at this point, I am gathering all my armies together. There's a couple rebellions that happen here, and I have to kind of keep sending mercenaries back and forth, which is, it's frustrating. It's a thing in EU4. You're going to get rebellions, just like in real life. That's a thing that happened. Another thing at this point in the game, I've completely messed up my diplomatic power. I accidentally got into way too many relationships, and so my diplomatic power is nothing. It's like negative 300 and something, or I can't tell on this screen, but it's something like that. It's like forever away from 0. So that's something I'm going to need to fix. Now I'm looking at it. I start fixing it, I think, right now in this video. I start going through and ending some of those military accesses. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And I'll change the way my empire is set up a little bit. The other thing that will come up in this video is that my military tech is like plus 180, meaning it's the time to get to the next level, to go from 59 to 60, is increased by 180% because I haven't embraced the printing press yet. But that's sort of an issue of I'm falling behind culturally because my people haven't really embraced the printing press. So I'm going to end up kind of torn between, do I try to keep my military tech up, or do I adopt quantity ideas to make it so that I can at least start improving my military in that regard. Ultimately, I decide to adopt the quantity ideas and just kind of run with it. And I don't know if that's the right choice or not. That's one of the things. I'm great at managing an empire, but I'm terrible at managing the army. I really wish the EU4 had some way that you could just automate your armies and let your generals do the work. But it doesn't. You controlling the army is hardwired into the game. You have to do it. I'm just terrible at it. But that's what's, right now I'm searching. There's one place that I couldn't find that has military access. But it's okay. It's such as life. Eventually I'll conquer them anyway. So I'm, getting my military forces built up. I'm going to expand my army basically as much as possible. And then here in just a little bit, I'm going to call all my friends and we are going to absolutely blitz the Ottomans. The war goes pretty well. Not perfect, and I end up kind of having to get out of it a little earlier than I had hoped. But overall, I'm going to get what I want out of it. And so we'll see where it goes. The problem with generals is they don't live forever, so you have to keep replacing them. So one of the kind of significant things here that gets difficult is you'll see when the war begins, the Ottomans are able to close the straits around Constantinople with their navy. Their navy is bigger than mine, and naval commanders are tied to diplomatic power, not military power. And since my diplomacy is nothing, and the admiral of my navy has died, I can't replace him. So that's an issue in that I don't have a commander for my navy, so my navy is essentially useless right now, which is a big mistake on my part. I messed up pretty bad there. I don't remember what this decision was. I think I choose the top one because the second choice, you lose one stability, and so I choose the gain one stability. Generally, there's, with a couple exceptions, I think you should always choose to increase stability, or at least keep stability the same. Any option that drops your stability has to have a really good trade-off to be worth it. Stability is, that's everything in this game. If your stability, if it's below 3, it's not great, but especially if you get like below 1, it can become a problem. If you get to -3, like this whole empire, even as big and powerful as my government is right now, if we got to -3 stability, this whole thing would come crashing down, and there'd be rebellions everywhere. There'd be mutinies. Other countries would see me fighting all these rebels and would attack. Yeah, there, my admiral just died. So yeah, always choose the option that gives you the most stability, or that at least doesn't take away stability. So, yeah. So now I'm starting to build up, I thought. Yeah, so I have like thousands upon thousands of soldiers and manpower reserves. The Ottomans don't have nearly as many soldiers, you see, but their manpower reserves are still pretty big. They could put over 300,000 soldiers on the battlefield if they needed to. And that's the thing you have to consider. It's not just about what the army looks like right now. It's about the army that could be built, in the end, right? When the U.S. entered World War II, the U.S. Army was only like 25,000 people. But within a year, there were like 16 million people in the entire American military, right? Like it's not just about what you have at the moment. It's about what you can put on the field. And that's why you never want to underestimate the Ottomans. You also see there, I'm looking at all the countries that are allied with the Ottomans. There are some, it seems, that break their alliance right away, that they do not want to go to war with me, not to protect the Ottomans anyway. So now I'm going to start building up forces. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I make the cavalry. So the first thing I do is check my combat width. And so my combat width now is 29. That means I can have 29 units in a row, basically, for an army size of 58. Most of my armies are a little smaller than that. But I always find it confusing to try to upgrade the armies I already have. So rather than expand the size of those armies, I just build my newer armies bigger, and I leave the older armies kind of the size that they are. You'll see here in a second, I'm going to start building the first army. Like all of the infantry will be Streltsy. So the Streltsy are a neat thing within the Russian gameplay mechanic. They are expensive. You pay money for them instead of paying manpower. And they expect to be paid. So whenever your leader dies, the Streltsy want to get paid like more money. And so they can be expensive, but they are better quality soldiers on the battlefield. They're very dangerous as opposed to kind of the regular infantry. So I'm going to build one army that's entirely Streltsy. The other thing is there's a limit. You can only build, a certain amount of Streltsy. I don't actually know what factors go into that, but you can only build a certain amount. So my first army here is going to have cavalry. All of the infantry will be Streltsy, and then the artillery that goes with it. And then my next army, I'm going to build another army after this one completes, that will have some Streltsy, but I'll hit that limit, and so I'll fill in the rest with the typical infantry. So I'm going to let these guys build, and then I'm going to build one more unit after them, and then launch an expedition into the Ottoman Empire. It's always a good feeling to get to this point. When you start the game, the Ottomans are, they're immensely powerful, unbelievably powerful. Everybody always says if you're new to EU4, the Ottomans are the country to start with because they're just so powerful. And EU4 is not like CK2. In CK2, you want to pick a tiny little country out in the middle of nowhere. If you're new, you want to start with somebody that's tiny. EU4 is exactly the opposite, because EU4 doesn't have the vassal intrigue and that sort of stuff. There's no plotting to kill and those things in EU4. So you want to start with a very powerful nation, and the Ottomans are generally the recommended start for people who are new to the game because they are so powerful. And so it's always a good feeling when you're not the Ottomans to get to a point where like here, I'm not just preparing to defend myself from the Ottomans. I am preparing to go on the offensive. I am going to attack them first. And I am very confident that I'll be able to win. So that's always a good feeling. You know that you've been successful in the game when you can be in a position to not be afraid of the Ottomans. Right? All right, so I've built that one army. And now I'm going to start building, I think here in a second, I'm going to start building another army. Yeah, so first I divide them so they're not facing attrition. That's one of the hard things, right? And a county, an area can only support so many soldiers. So you have to kind of divide your armies up, but keep them close enough together that you can put them back together quickly with the right ratios. Yeah, see here I'm changing my national focus to start getting myself some diplomatic power. I think I cut that deficit in half by the end of the video, but I'm still at like a substantial negative. So now I start building my next army. See, we start with Streltsy, but we hit that limit. And so yeah, there we hit the limit. So now we fill in the rest of the infantry with just kind of regular guys. We get our cannons. And once these are done, we'll be able to head into the Ottoman Empire. Sorry. I am paying attention, I promise. I'm getting texted by my parish council president. I've kind of recently become like... we do the office joke where like I'm the assistant to the parish council president. So, of course, I tell everybody that I'm assistant parish council president. But I'm just his understudy. I don't have any actual authority or anything within the parish, but when he texts me, I kind of have to like respond to him. So here's what I was talking about, right? So I don't want my military tech to fall behind, but I'm in a situation where my military tech really, like, it's that 180% really hurts. So I'm going to end up going with quantity ideas here. These ideas are difficult because they do give you bonuses, but the problem is that they take your tech to do it. So my military power is going to go into that category now instead of being used to raise my military tech. But the trade-off is that because it would take me so long to get there anyway, I might as well get some bonuses now. And when I get to a stage where, I can adopt the printing press, then I can build up my military tech. And see, I'm checking it out again. It's going to take me forever. In fact, the amount that I need is more than my tech cap, right? So I can't earn enough anyway. So I just decide to go with it because I might as well get some of those bonuses now. And when I can adopt the printing press, then I'll, be able to make up for that. And I'll just have to be careful. I'll have to make sure that I don't pick any fights that I can't win between now and when I can start advancing my military tech again. Always converting as many provinces as I can. Of course, there's like you want to bring the true faith to the people, but the biggest thing is that by converting provinces, you increase unity within your nation. And that's what you want to do. You want to increase, the more united your people are, the less likely you are to get rebellions and stuff like that. So it helps. It has a number of other bonuses, tax income and stuff like that too. But also, my goal within this playthrough is to create the Third Rome, the Holy Russian Empire, and part of that would be converting the people to Orthodoxy. So I have a couple claims here on the Ottoman Empire, but they're not the kind of claims that are really solid to take territory. You humiliate rival and stuff like that's all fine, but I want a claim that's going to let me really take territory. So I'm going to build a spy network here. It doesn't take very long. I just have to get it up to 20. And as I'm building the spy network here, I'm going to start gathering my army together, getting them along the border, getting ready to just absolutely demolish the Ottomans. I'm starting to gather my armies together now. You want to be careful with this. You never want to do it too early because those armies start facing attrition. So they start losing men because the area isn't big enough to support the armies of that size, which takes up your manpower, and it does it quickly. Now, when you're at war, of course, this is necessary. It's part of being at war. But you don't want to deplete your manpower any more than you absolutely have to, right? You don't want to go into a war already at zero manpower because you're not going to be able to replace your losses, right? So you just want to be careful with doing this. You want to make sure that you have it done before the war starts so that all of your armies are together, but you don't want to do it too early and lose a bunch of manpower unnecessarily. You see, I've just sent some mercenaries to fight rebels in Denmark. I think there's going to be one more rebellion in Denmark, and then there's a rebellion in England. Yeah, so we're going to fabricate a claim on. I'm just checking the county, see where I want to fabricate my claim. We're going to fabricate a claim on the Ottomans. We get the claim. And then it is time to go. So about half hour into this video now, we're going to call all of our allies. And we are going to absolutely storm the Ottoman Empire. All right, so we are at war now with the Ottomans and their allies. What you're going to see here, the Ottomans have a strategy, and it's interesting. I don't know if this is coded into the game or if it's like confirmation bias or something that I look for it from the Ottomans now. But you'll notice here pretty early on, there's like no real battles. The Ottoman army just sort of vanishes. And the Ottomans love to march in doom stacks. They'll have unbelievable, thousands upon thousands of soldiers all in one place. And they will send those soldiers all over everywhere. So, but they'll do that when they're in a position of power. When they're in a position of weakness, what they'll do instead is their army will just vanish. So I've taken control of Gallipoli, and I'm in the process of, or I think I've just taken control of Constantinople. So now I have separated the European Ottoman Empire from the Anatolian Middle Eastern Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman army, what they'll do is, rather than fight you directly if you're more powerful than them, is they will send their forces out around through Asia, and they'll just start appearing in the Eastern Russian Empire. They kind of do it every time it's something that I expect to happen, and you'll see they're going to do it here too. Their army's going to vanish, and they'll let us just take over a whole bunch of the Ottoman Empire, and then all of a sudden they'll just appear in the east. Oh, okay. So that was weird. So I've been recording this and my screen just like blacked out and my display started going to sleep. I guess my display doesn't register the Clipchamp recording software. So it just thought, like, I guess my computer got bored of this and just went to sleep. But thankfully it seems everything is still running fine. Look, I'll just be straight up with you guys. I am way too old to be on YouTube. I played Doom when it was new. I played Wolfenstein 3D when it was new. You guys, like, like all the craziness of like AI and ChatGPT and stuff. I was playing Infocom text parser games when they were new. I don't know how any of this stuff works. It's hopefully this is the kind of thing that at least some people like. It seems like, I've got 5 subscribers right now, which I know is nothing in YouTube terms, but it's just kind of neat to me. I think one of my videos has like 45 views, which is, again, I know is nothing in YouTube terms, but it's like crazy to me that 45 people would like want to watch my videos. I hope you never expect anything polished with like outros and stuff. I am never going to be like Jacksepticeye or anybody like that. I am way too old to even really be here, but it is fun to make. I just never have any idea what I'm doing. This whole thing right now, I never even thought of recording a voiceover until one of my students suggested it. I had thought this was just a dead video that I was never going to be able to do anything with. So sometimes stuff like that will happen and it scares me because, I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. And now what I'm with isn't it anymore. And what's it is scary to me. That's just the way it goes. It happened to me and it will happen to you too. You will get old. You will. There will be a time when you will look back on this era with nostalgia, and I will be long dead. Oh yeah, so there's this one province minor that I annexed because why not? And it completed the land of the churches. So then, I established the Moscow metropolitan. I don't remember when I do that. I don't know if I do that right now or shortly after, but I guess I do it after the war. But we completed land of the churches, so that's good. It's one step closer to having the Third Rome, completing that goal. You can see we're storming through the empire, through the Ottoman Empire. Again, you see a few small Ottoman units. You don't see much. I think they keep them there just to like keep an eye on what's going on, but then they don't try to challenge us directly, not right away at least, and all of a sudden they'll appear in the Eastern Empire. You do want to be careful, even in a situation like this. So I am incredibly much more powerful than the Ottomans, especially with all my allies. But you want to be careful to never really spread your army out too much. This is another rebellion, so I have to hire some mercenaries to crush that rebellion. You never want to spread your armies in Anatolia out too much, because the Ottomans will just appear and they'll be in some gigantic stack and they'll absolutely obliterate an army. So you always want to be careful. You never want to spread out too much, because they will get you. I don't know how the coding works. It seems like some countries are like smarter or more adept when it comes to warfare. See, now the Ottomans are appearing in the east. And so, like I said, I don't know how it works, but the Ottomans, however they are coded, they are very good at war. They are great at that, like this kind of stuff, misdirection and, leading forces astray. And they're also very good at picking apart armies, recognizing like, the Russians have left these guys spread out, and so we can get them. See, now there's a rebellion. They're in Gotland, so I have to send the mercenaries back to suppress that rebellion. And a lot of times when you're playing as a country like Russia and you're fighting the Ottomans, like I'm allied with Hungary, with Serbia, they understand too how powerful the Ottoman army is, even though, we're more powerful. Like they understand how powerful the Ottomans are. And so they often won't attack the Ottomans directly until you have beaten the Ottomans pretty well. So they're not going up to fight the Ottomans in Eastern Russia. But once I win a couple victories up there, you'll see that they just appear, like Hungary and everybody sends forces up there and they start sieging down those territories and liberating those territories for me. It's really neat how the war mechanics in this game work, that they do kind of follow that sort of thing, right? They're not just going to go up there and get slaughtered by the Ottomans, but if I've crushed the Ottomans up there, they'll go clean up, a few units here or there and help win the war that way, which is it's just neat. I don't know anything about game coding and making a game like this, but it's really cool how you see that sort of thing play out. We won another battle. You're going to see, I'm going to cycle through here several times of like hoping that these guys will white peace, and they never will. I thought the Ottomans at this point would, but the none of the other countries, like they never will. I think I do get one to jump out of the war eventually, but by that point my forces are starting to get really exhausted. This war does end in a victory for me, but I get to a point where like I have to end the war. Like I can't continue on because my forces are just they're just losing. Like not losing, but we're losing numbers to an extent that it becomes unsustainable. So see now the Ottomans, so I knew this was going to happen, so it's okay. What the Ottomans have done is they've pulled some of my forces away to go up to Eastern Russia, so they start appearing in Anatolia again, trying to take over these places that I've captured. It's really, like, it's a good strategy against a player who's new, right? And of course I'm playing on super easy, so the Ottomans will do this, but I expect it, so it doesn't work the way the Ottomans hoped it would, because I just start sending all of my soldiers back into Anatolia and breaking up these little armies and crushing them. I guess one thing that is kind of a disappointment too is that there's no like gameplay audio at all. So yeah, here I'm checking for white piece again. Which, like I said, I'm going to sort through and figure out what settings got changed. And as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm planning to record a Stellaris video. So hopefully that, I can get everything back together and not have to do a voiceover like this. But it is a good idea. I'm glad my student suggested it. It saves this hour of gameplay footage that otherwise would have been thrown away. And the next EU4 video would start after this one, and I would have to explain like a whole bunch of changes that happen here to the borders, including one particularly important change. So I'm glad that there's a way to save this and that you guys get to see it. Sieging down some of the Holy Land here. Still no one will back out of the war. It gets a little more complicated as we go along. I think at one point here, in a little bit, one of my armies is going to get stack wiped. I think when I was playing this, I didn't even see it happen until after it was over. And I'm not entirely sure what happened. So maybe I'll find out here if we see it happen. We win almost every battle. There's only a couple that we lose. But in one of them, I lose an entire army. But, that's okay. It's the sacrifice of war. So at this point, yeah, it's just a matter of cleaning up all those enemy forces. We've completely dominated the Ottomans at this point. Like I said, it's a really good feeling to be in this position, remembering how the Ottomans were at the start of the game to how they are now. They are a shell of what they were. I mean, not really. I guess that's the wrong way to put it. The Ottomans are still immensely powerful. It's just that we have become more powerful, which is always, it's a good feeling. So we're doing is, so the Ottomans have moved a bunch of guys onto those islands where they're out of harm's way. They're protected by the Navy. So I'm moving my forces into position to kind of block them in there. So it effectively takes them out of the war. They become kind of stuck because they could cross the straits. I can't cross the straits because of the Ottoman Navy. So I can't get to those islands. The guys in the islands could cross over to try to attack me, but I have way more soldiers there than they do. And that crossing over water is, that's a brutal, brutal combat penalty. They almost never will do that. There has to be a really, really compelling reason for them to do that. It'll almost never happen. Another victory. Another victory. At this point, I'm just trying to max out my war score. I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can. I want these guys to drop out, because the more that drop out, the better it makes my war score. Now I'm looking for where some of these places are so I can send soldiers to them to start sieging them down. Just taking those forts. So I send these guys down here to attack this fort. I actually messed this up here in a minute. Something comes up, something pops up that says like we've been victorious or something, and I move those guys. I think it's that fort that they take, and then I move them off that fort, and then they have to go back and siege it down again. Yeah, so I think I'm about to lose. No, I won that battle. I thought I was going to win, or I thought I was going to lose, but I won that battle. I do lose a battle here at some point, and it hurts one of my armies, and they end up getting in a second battle, and they get stack wiped. And I didn't notice it happen until it was over. Still nobody will drop out. Yeah, see there. So that pops up. And I think... Oh, no, I guess that wasn't the one. There, so we've lost that battle. Yeah, maybe it's this one that pops up. Yeah, so see, it says, I guess I mistook it for the siege across the Red Sea there, and so I start moving them accidentally off that, and I end that siege, and then I have to send those guys back. So now I realize, see, I expected them to want a white piece. Now I realize I've made a mistake, and I didn't win that siege yet. See, I'm zooming in to see, like, no, I haven't captured it, so I have to send those guys back. They were probably pretty close to winning that siege, and I messed it up. Now the Ottomans, what's left of them, have once again appeared in eastern Russia. So whoops, hopefully you didn't hear that. My Windows Defender decided right now is a good time to tell me about a summary. So yeah, now I have to send those guys to siege. I have to send guys up into eastern Russia now, but I'm in a good position. It's more of an annoyance than anything, but I'm in a good position here. I'm winning. Checking again. Still, I think one of them maybe drops out at one point. So we won that battle up there. But I don't think any of them drop out, really. I think, like I said, one maybe drops out, but then the rest, it gets to a point here where I just decide, like, I've got to get out of this. We've beaten them, not as badly as I wanted to, but enough, you know. Yeah, so there I lost, and an army got stack wiped. And so, yeah, so it's at this point that I decide I'm going to take this land for myself, including Constantinople. I'm going to take a little bit for Serbia. You know, just to make an ally happy. And yeah, so here we're going to bring the war to an end. So as you can see, right, we win this war. We've taken a huge portion of the Black Sea coast, including Constantinople, right? That's a huge deal. We have captured Constantinople. It is now no longer part of the Ottoman Empire. So I bring these guys back up just to get them headed home and start talking a little bit about the next move is probably going to be to continue the destruction of Lithuania and Poland. At some point also we're going to have to head back up north to finish off Sweden and Denmark. So we're choosing the icon of St. Michael. For me, in my playstyle, the icon of St. Michael is kind of the one that does me the most good. So now selecting Moscow, and we go to the Consecrate Metropolitan button, and we're going to make a Metropolitan of Moscow. So we've done that, and it doesn't give us yet the mission completion. When I get to the mission, there we go. Establish the Moscow Patriarchate. We need to get the Patriarch loyalty to 70 or greater. We're not there yet. So I'm going to give them a few concessions. I'm going to do a few things for them that will drive their equilibrium up. So it's not going to make them go to 70 yet, but it's going to start pushing them in that direction. And so at this point here, there's still about 6 minutes or so of video left, but this is basically what, you know, there's not a whole lot left to talk about. I'm going to, you know, give them a few things. I'm going to look over some of the goals. Like I said, the next video, the primary goal is going to be just to drive into Poland and Lithuania again. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the audio recording here because after this, it's just a few minutes of rambling about goals. But hopefully this has come out well. Hopefully the audio sounds okay here. Hopefully I can get OBS straightened out again soon. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been some good background noise. Thank you for listening. And as always, I will see you when I see you.